Hi there. I'm over at my in-laws, and they have a whole bunch of crab apples. I was doing apples that they had before from their apple orchard. So you can click on that link and see the applesauce that I made there. But I thought since I'm here, I'd make some crab apple jelly as well. Which is a little bit longer process than making a jam, but it's still really easy. So I've just got a pot here and a whole bucket of crab apples. So I'm looking for about 6 pounds of crab apples, really. And to that, I'll add 4.5 cups of sugar. But before we get to that, we've got to go through and get them ready. As you can kind of see in here, these are straight from the tree. So I've got leaves and branches and all sorts with them. So I'm just going through and picking them out. And basically, I just pull out the stem, pop that into a bag, and then I just cut off the little bottom end of it, and then I toss the whole thing in like that. So you're not going to peel them. You don't need to take the seeds out or core them or anything like that. So you're just going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that, and then I'll show you what happens next. Okay, so I've got my crab apples all here that I've just taken the stems off of and just peeled off or cut off the little bottom bit. And to that, I'm going to add, so we weighed these, and there's about 5.5 pounds. So for every pound, you want a cup of water to cook them in. So I've added 5.5 cups of water to the pot. And I'm going to bring that to a boil and simmer that for about 15 minutes so that they start to break down. And then I'm going to take a potato masher and just mash them up and then boil them for another 5 minutes just to make sure I get the maximum amount of juice out of them before we have to pour them in and strain them away. So I will bring that to a boil, cook those down, and then come back and show you what they look like before I mash them up. Right, so my crab apples have been boiling away for 15 minutes now, and they're soft enough for me to use this potato masher and just to crush them a little bit more to get some more of the juice out of them. So I'm just going to go around the bottom and squish them as much as I can. You want to have all the juice out of them so that when you pour it into the strainer, you get the maximum amount of crab apple juice to make your jelly. So I'm going to keep going ahead and squishing all of these in the bottom, and then I'm going to let that simmer boil for another 5 minutes, and then I'll get the apparatus set up and show you how to strain the juice out of them. Right, so to strain my crab apples, I've just used one of these folding sort of dinner table style tables and turned it upside down and attached some cheesecloth or muslin you can use, and I've just tied it tight around the 4 legs so that it holds it in place, and then underneath I've just got a measuring cup to catch all of the liquid, and then I also know how much I have, so I know how much sugar I need to have add to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour in my crab apples, and it just sort of catches them all. Can't quite see it. Let me go around to the other side and you can see it a little bit better. There we go. So from this angle you can see it a little bit better. You just pour them straight into the cheesecloth and that will catch them all, and then you can just let it strain through. Now the important thing with this is you do not want to squeeze the muslin, the bag, the whatever you're using to strain this at all. If you squeeze it, you're going to get cloudy jelly, and you don't want cloudy jelly, so you just need to be patient and let this drain through by itself. It should take about 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer. If you can leave it overnight, then do that, and that will get the maximum amount of juice out of it. But other than that, 2 hours should give you pretty much the most juice you will get out of it. Now that it's strained through, you can see it's a nice, beautiful color underneath, and I've got a good amount there to make my jelly. So I'm going to take that now, pop it into a saucepan, and we'll add the sugar. So let me get that set up for you. Okay, so I've got my juice in my pan. I only got about 3.5 cups of juice from my crab apples. I was sort of hoping for more like 6 cups, but that's okay. So you can add some water to this to top it up. I wouldn't add more than 1.5 cups or so of water because you don't want to dilute your crab apple juice too much. So I've added 1.5 cups of water to this, and that gives me my 5 cups of crabapple juice then. And to that I'm going to add 3.5 cups of sugar, but I'll do that in just a sec. I want to use these really cute little jars for my jelly. They're really small, and I'm in Canada, and I haven't seen these in the US, but these ones are 1/4 pint or 125 milliliters, and I think it's a great little size. I'm going to keep these and give these away as Christmas presents, so I think that this is a really good size for that. So that's just going to go in my stock pot of water over here to sterilize. I'm just going to leave that boil while making the jelly. I've also got on the back over here just the lids that go on the top, and they're just in some hot water, not boiling, just hot, so that they're ready to seal properly. So I'm just going to keep these in the hot water over there while I make the jelly and add the sugar and all of that. So I will grab my sugar. So I've got my juice in my pan and my sugar, and I'm just going to pop the sugar into the pan. So that's 5 cups of crabapple juice and 3.5 cups of sugar. So I just need to stir that around in the pan and dissolve the sugar over sort of a medium heat, and then you're going to bring your juice over a medium-high heat to a boil for about 15 to 18 minutes. So after 15 minutes, I check to make sure that it's starting to set, and then I've got the few extra minutes to sort of boil it until it should be at set point. So to check that, you need to grab a little plate and pop that into the freezer for just while you're sort of boiling your jelly. And then you'll pop a little bit of your boiling jam on after 15 minutes to check and see if it's set. So I've got my jam boiling here, and I've taken a little bit out, it's been 15 minutes, and popped it on the plate that I had in the freezer, and I put the plate back in the freezer for 1 minute just to make sure, or to let it cool down to see what it would be like. So let me grab that and show you what it looks like now that it's been a minute. And as you can see, now this has been in the freezer for a minute, and I'm just going to pop my finger through it, and if it wrinkles, it's ready. So there we go. You can see it's already gelling, so that's absolutely perfect. Now I've let my jelly cool down just a little bit and stop boiling. I've taken it off the heat, and I'm just scraping the little bit of scum around the edge. So that's stuff that you can see clearly just sort of is kind of foamy, and you don't want that in your nice clear jelly. So I'm just using a spoon and scraping that. It's sort of moved to the edges, and there's a little bit on the top, but I'm just taking that off. So I've got a nice clear jelly that I'm going to put into my jars. So just make sure you've got all of that out, and then you're ready to bottle. So let me get my jars set up, and I will show you how to pop them into the jars and can them. Okay, so I've got all of my jars set up here. I sterilized 12 jars just because I wasn't quite sure how much liquid I would have, how much jelly I would have. But I've got my funnel here that I'm just going to pop on the top, and then I'm just going to simply pour the jelly, because it's nice and liquidy, straight into the little jars. And with these, you want to leave about 1/4 inch headspace at the top of the jar, so not too full, and just a little space at the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill all of my jars, and then we'll come back and pop the lids on them next. So my jars are all done now, and I'm just going to clean off the edge around the outside of them. You don't want to have any jelly between the ridge and the lid, or it won't seal properly. So just take a clean damp cloth and wipe around the edges if you've spilled any. Sometimes you just go around them anyway to make sure there isn't any. And once you've done that with all of the jars and you're happy with that, then we can pop the lids on them. Okay, so we've cleaned up all the edges, and now I just need to pop the lids on. These have been sat in hot water while I've been making the jelly, and that's just to soften that rubber ring around the edge that you can see, the orange rim, so that you get a nice seal with the jar. So I'm going to go ahead and pop all my lids on, and then we can put the bands on. Right, so now that all of my lids are on, I can put my bands on the top. So I'm just going to screw those on, and that's going to be just so that they're finger tight. So not too loose, but not too tight either. And once I've done that, then I can pop them into the canner. So let me go ahead and put all my bands on, and then we can get the canner ready. So my jars are in my pot of water. I'm going to bring that to a boil and process these for 10 minutes. And then we're going to take them out and let them cool. So I've taken them out of the water, and they're going to cool here for about 12 hours. You're going to hear them popping as they seal, which is good. And then they'll keep for about a year. So that's how you make crabapple jelly. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please do give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to see what else I'm up to. Thanks.